Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BrainScratch. We're doing another playthrough this time. It's the remake of Pac-Man World. So, yeah, it's a pretty good game. Glad we're doing this version instead of the PS1 version because that's a bit hard to record.
Well, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, the most recent thing that's been released on was the PS3, isn't it?
Nah, you get Duck Station up and going. That's a really reliable emulator, and Shadow play that stuff. That's easy. I mean, if it was PlayStation 3, I agree, because, screw that.
Yeah, but this is the version where Pac-Man lost his wife, so,
Excuse me?
Oh, you
Miss
don't
Pac-Man's
know
not-
this? Oh my
Miss Pac-Man's
god.
not
I
in the
don't play.
game.
I want to preface this right now. I've never played this game. I've never played any Pac-Man World games. When you ask me who Pac-Man is, Cheddar blocked in the maze with the ghosts.
Okay, so what Ted is referring to is the replacement, the deplorable erasure of Miss Pac-Man in favor of Pac-Mom.
Which they should have called her Pac-Mam.
They should have,
Excuse me.
but they don't.
So there's a lot of rights issues regarding the original Miss Pac-Man arcade cabinet because it wasn't made by Namco. It was made by a group of, I believe they were MIT students, and then Namco bought the rights to them. But this all started when Namco, just straight up lost the original contracts to the legal stuff for Miss Pac-Man. So for the anniversary of Miss Pac-Man and Galaga, they released a 2-in-1 arcade cabinet, which one of those original creators found while on a road trip with their family. And then he's like, where the hell are my royalties, bitch? So they talked to Namco, and now Namco is terrified of getting sued. And so they're just like, okay, we're just never going to show Miss Pac-Man ever again. And now we have Pac-Mom replacing everything Miss Pac-Man.
As you saw, that horrible off-brand Miss Pac-Man that they replaced her with.
That's good to say. It's like, what in the Kmart shit is this?
But yeah, but, honestly, I love this remake. I do. But I do prefer the FMVs from the original.
Yeah, they do have a lot more charm, and there's voice acting and stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't bad. There are some funny enough gags, but...
I was kind of hoping, in light of everything you guys were just talking about, the flyer said, come meet the real Miss Pac-Man.
So...
And it is just like a robot version with the bow and all that.
There was a really funny comic that was circulating around the time this game came out, because I believe Sonic Colors Ultimate was coming out around the same time, and Sonic's like, oh man, yeah, I got a remake too, but the music's really bad, and there's all these glitches. What's up with your remake, Pac-Man? They took my wife. And then Sonic just looks like, oh shit. But yeah, the original FMVs definitely have that 90s cheese charm to them for sure.
Also, Toc-Man is a lot scarier in the original. Here, he's just kind of like...
He's just like a robot. In the original, he looks like a nightmare abomination.
He looks like something out of Five Nights at Freddy's before
I was
Five
just
Nights
about
at
to
Freddy's.
say,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, like the metal's all rusted and like cobbled together unevenly for the original Toc-Man.
Also, what ends up happening to the actual villain behind Toc-Man in the original game is fucked up.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just- it's like, Pac-Man's a psycho.
Yeah, Pac-Man's an asshole.
Well.
Yeah, I believe I've never played the original. I've only played this remake. I believe the game is mostly the same, otherwise, besides the graphical improvements and whatnot.
What were the subtitles doing down there? They listed one of Toc-Man's lines as Pac-Mom's.
That's what I was confused by. Like, I thought she was like, oh, she's got a bit of feist to her. And I was like, I respect that. But it was also, wait, I don't think that was meant to come out from this Pac-Man, or Pac-Girl. What the fuck is her name?
They've
again?
made like 3 different
Pac-Mom, thank you.
Pac-Girls, actually, which is really funny.
This is something that's new to the remake, where you turn into the giant Pac-Man when you get a power pellet.
Super Pac-Man.
Yeah, it's fun. I like that change. Otherwise,
Where are the keys?
Otherwise, though, the game is mostly a 1-to-1 remake. But
I think there's full analog control, because I believe the original only
yeah.
had D-pad. It might have been one of those games that had
Pac-Man World was 1999, so DualShock was already a thing at that time.
It might have been one of those games. Again, I don't know.
It might have been one of those games where you could use the analog stick technically, but it wasn't full 360-degree control. Not that it really matters, because as you can see, this is a fixed camera game where everything is sort of like built on a platforming grid. So precision wasn't really ever an issue either way. It's very it's very there's another game that I'm thinking of that has this sort of control scheme and camera angle.
Like
Metroid
on the
Other M?
PlayStation 1 specifically? Yeah, it's actually it's just Metroid Other M.
It might be multiple games, because I think there were like a bunch of others. But, you know, it's mostly side-scrolling in a 3D space with a Z-axis, so it's not all that...
Basically what Crash Bandicoot is, but the hallway is horizontal.
Well, it shifts around forward and backward, but it spends most of its time horizontal, yeah.
Yeah.
And here we have Metal Pac-Man, because everyone had to do metal transformations back then. Thanks, Mario 64.
I mean, he's ripping off Mario with the metal transformation. He's ripping off Sonic with the fucking spin dash.
Oh yeah, the rev up or whatever they're called, rev roll. It's just the spin dash.
It absolutely is.
Man, I gotta say, ever since Pitfall invented jumping,
Man,
everything's just been a pitfall.
man, Pac-Man is such a Pitfall ripoff.
Actually, Pitfall is the game I was thinking of. Pitfall 3D. If you don't know the game, I don't blame you. It's not that great and it's not that memorable, but Pitfall 3D it's certainly a PlayStation 1 game. And it had this same kind of fixed camera, sort of like going in various directions with a fixed camera along a grid.
Yeah, when it comes to the Pac-Man World trio, people sort of talk about the first one, mostly talk about the second one. And then there's the third one doesn't really get talked about a ton.
It's not good, so...
I want to try it. I own it, but haven't played it yet.
It's okay. It's just weird.
Pac-Man gets like a gun, right? Like
I don't know if he... it's been ages since I last touched that game. I don't know if he gets a gun, but it's definitely an edgier, more like heavy-toned story-based game, which is very weird for Pac-Man.
I remember looking up some footage of it. Maybe not a gun, but I thought that there was like some vehicle stuff where maybe he shot projectiles at some point.
If you're curious, viewers, I do know Nitro Rad did reviews on all of the Pac-Man World games, so he's probably got stuff to say.
I've played a good amount of Pac-Man World 2. Pac-Man World 2 is an interesting case in that it's certainly a lot more ambitious than this game is, because this game's pretty much as safe as you can get, all things considered. Not that it's bad, mind you. I don't want to imply that. It is very well made and a lot of fun. But,
it's a PlayStation 3D platformer, yeah. But, they did a very good job of translating Pac-Man into a platformer without destroying what made Pac-Man Pac-Man, which has been historically a big problem with these Pac-Man spinoffs.
Yeah, it's like... it's definitely hard because like Pac-Man is his own genre, really. Like there were a bunch of maze game clones in the early 80s, and like Pac-Man's is the only one that like still lives. So there's definitely a lot of like weirdness whenever you try to make him move into a different genre. And the platformers have generally worked out okay. I think like even the Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures games are considered fine.
I wish I could say the same for Pac-Man 2, The New Adventure.
That's the point-and-click game, right? Like,
yes.
With the slingshot, yes.
Yes, it's...
Point and click has been real generous.
It's a game worth playing at least once, because it's just...
It's point and watch.
It's very weird. It's fun in its own way, but I wouldn't exactly call it good.
I got no words. Watch a video on it. Well, I wanted to actually...
Oh my god, I forgot that the lives are cheese wedges in this game. Oh my...
Sort of just to continue on with that conversation, because if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know, because we've been doing this for a long time now, is this like our first Pac-Man game for the channel?
I think so.
I mean, it might be.
We might have done a championship edition at one point, but I don't recall.
I don't recall us doing that at all.
Championship edition kicks ass, for the record. Awesome game.
They're both on Switch, so.
I mean, but what does Pac-Man begin with you guys specifically? Like, what was your first Pac-Man experience? And like, is it a series that you follow?
Pac-Man 2,
like even today.
Pac-Man 2.
Oh, dude.
But, oh, Christ
It was
alive.
I think it was one of the first 4 Sega Genesis games that my parents got me with got us with the Genesis that they gave us all for Christmas one year.
I mean, it's funny because I do think you can still make the argument that Pac-Man is the most recognizable video game character over Mario. Like, that probably becomes less true by the day as old people who may have played Pac-Man but no other video games start dying. But I think you could maybe still make that argument now.
I was going to say that depends highly on the demographic.
Yeah. With that said, I actually played a lot of the original Pac-Man. Specifically, I had a port of the Game Boy on the Game Boy Color of the arcade game, which played pretty well. There was screen crunch on it, but that basically just meant you couldn't see like the opposite corner of the maze, which usually doesn't matter too much when you're playing casually, at least. And then yeah, I played a lot of Championship Edition. As well. That game's one of my favorite games, actually.
I did log a good few hours into Championship Edition Deluxe when I got that on PS3.
Oh yeah, specifically Deluxe. I think original Championship Edition is significantly less fun, but Deluxe kicks ass.
Deluxe has a lot more added in, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's a very hectic version of Pac-Man with a lot going on.
And the music's so good, like they could probably play that at nightclubs, and people would be like, "Man, this is bumping."
With the giant Pac-Man robot wondering why you kidnapped the family.
I'm imagining now a video gamer themed nightclub with with Pac-Man music playing in the background.
Isn't that just a barcade?
I mean, yeah, but probably. I've never been to a barcade.
Barcades are fun, especially if they have the original Crazy Taxi, because that game's also very fun. I'm trying to think of other Pac-Man stuff I did. Pac-Man was my main in Smash 4. It's actually, you know what? It's actually very funny now that I think about it. I remember it was like E3 2014 or 2015, where they showed the Palutena reveal trailer at the end of the Nintendo Direct for that year. Oh my god, right.
Yeah.
Stop missing the platform.
And it got like this epic anime intro, and then they showed Pac-Man's intro video, which is just like has barely any animation in it at all, in some closed doors event after the fact. And I'm thinking, Pac-Man is like literally one of the top 3 most recognizable video game characters of all time, and Palutena is a side character from Kid Icarus Uprising. So this is how you can definitely tell that Sakurai is absolutely 100% biased in everything he does.
Definitely. My earliest exposure to Pac-Man is through the arcade game in Miss Pac-Man back in the day. I did also have Pac-Man 2 on Super Nintendo.
Oh, I forgot. I had Miss
Lord.
Pac-Man's Maze Madness on on
that game
N64.
is so good.
Oh my! You see, I was just about to say something about that. Everybody tries to gaslight me into thinking that game is good. That game sucks. That game's awful.
Well, wait, hold on. Which system did you say? Which system did you say?
N64.
Oh, well, there's your problem.
I mean, it's the same game from what I can see. Like, no, that game we'll cover that at some point, but it's just like every time I remember that game growing up, I hated it. And
I thought Lewis and I were gonna have a bonding moment there. Just 180 right in front of you.
Because it's like every time I looked up stuff, people were like, "Oh yeah, this is a real hidden gem of a game," and I'm like, "Excuse me,
It's
no, this
really-
game's horse.
Oh, dude, this game's ass.
It's really damn fun. I don't know what you're talking about, Ted. Come on.
I always found it really clunky to play, and Miss Pac-Man's footsteps, at least this might be not an issue on the other versions, but the sound mixing's awful, and her footsteps are so goddamn loud. It's like cluck, 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 because she's wearing fucking heels and she wants you to know it. So it's like, okay, you're just gonna hear that over and over and over again, and that sound drills into my brain until the end of time.
So what I'm hearing, Ted, is that you're glad that she was replaced
Yeah,
with
fuck Miss
Pac-Man.
Or I guess don't, I suppose, because they're not married anymore.
So, like, having some trouble there?
I'm trying to find the C.
Oh.
Oh, well, you see, it's in the foreground, so.
I'm not Pac-Man. I'm just Pam.
There we go. There's the C.
Just a cooking spray. So my earliest experiences with Pac-Man go back as far as the original game. I don't know if I played the classic arcade version first, but my largest amount of playtime as a child was when I used to spend a lot of nights over at my Aunt Milagros' house when she used to babysit me and my brother Mark all the time, and she had a Sega Genesis. And that was when I was exposed to like Streets of Rage 2, Evander Holyfield's tournament champion boxing, I think was one of them, because that's when he was a big deal. And Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man, we played the fucking shit out of. And my aunt clobbered the fucking shit out of all of us in the family, which I always thought was really fucking cool.
You see, it's really funny. Like, everybody, this is something that I find universal. It's like everybody's mom or aunt is better than them at Miss Pac-Man and Tetris. It's just a universal truth.
I'd agree.
They don't play any other video games, but they'll clobber you at either Miss Pac-Man or Tetris.
You know what the best thing about starting with Pac-Man 2 was? It just had the other Pac-Man games built in, and you could play them at the arcade.
Yeah, that's right.
So I
think you could play Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and Pac Jr.
I did eventually end up playing a lot of that through that game, but
I think Pac-Man World 2 also has like nearly all of the classic arcade Pac-Man games.
Yeah.
On it.
I love it when these 3D games go out of their way to have stilted maze minigames.
I mean, the mazes in this game are pretty good. If you, like, there is a mode you unlock at the end of the game to just play the mazes. And if you like Pac-Man mazes, they're made pretty well. And, like, I do like that, it controls the same, but he's swimming in this one because it's underwater and whatnot.
Well, you see, I would agree if we didn't live in a world where Miss Pac-Man's Maze Madness exists, because that's just a full game of better mazes.
Okay, listen, we're not getting into this. I swear to God.
Christ.
I agree, though, in that these do kill the pacing of the platforming, because there's one in literally every stage. So
are these mandatory?
If you want 100%.
Okay.
But this game has something equivalent to the Crash Bandicoot problem, where if you run to the end without finding anything, it's pretty substanceless.
You keep missing the turns.
Ryan, it's a commentary. Wrap it up.
But I want points.
Why do you want points exactly?
Dude, it's fucking Pac-Man. This is the one game where you're allowed to want points.
Well, if you keep playing long enough, you'll get as many points as you need no matter what you do. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, but this is a problem with a lot of platformers from this era where when you stop looking for stuff and just go, the game kind of stops being as fun. But trying to go for everything can sometimes be a little bit tedious, so
I'd say this game is fine to 100%, honestly.
it's not too bad. Definitely better than Pac-Man World 2 in that regards. I do like
World 2 takes forever if you're going for 100%.
So Pac-Man World 2 is interesting because I played that before I played this, and I couldn't beat Pac-Man World 2 because, like, in many ways it's a lot better. Like, the level design's more interesting and varied, and there's a lot more substance to it. But 100%ing is a pain in the fucking ass because there's so much more stuff, and it's a lot easier to miss things. On top of the game just being harder. And then there's, like, these huge, long sections that are really, really dull, like the submarine chase is, I think, a particularly infamous example. You spend literally, like, a half an hour just going in a straight line on a submarine in Pac-Man World 2. And it killed my enjoyment of the game for, like, a while until it's like, oh, right, there's platforming in this game, and then it's fun.
Pac-Man World 2 is pretty great as a PlayStation 2 era platformer in general, but yeah.
That's why I was hoping that they'd do a remake of it to, like, smooth off those edges. And we just haven't heard anything about that. Cue the BrainScratch curse here, I hope. The one time we really hoping for that,
We haven't had the Nintendo Direct for June yet at the time of this recording, so.
You know what? If we can initiate the BrainScratch curse on purpose, which of course we can't because that would be too easy.
It doesn't work that way.
then I would love for Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac to be a thing, but I kind of doubt it, so we'll see.
I mean, it'll probably happen someday, but I doubt they're in any great rush to do it.
It would depend on how well this did, you know.
Well,
Nice sliding there.
What the
as soon as Ted says that, we stumble into a glitch. Wonderful.
Yeah, the monkey paws curling.
So there was a funny bug as well. I played this game on Switch. What version of this are you playing, Ryan?
This is a Switch version.
Okay. So I played this game mostly in handheld mode, and so when I was done, I just like put the console into sleep mode and then picked it back up, and I played it slowly over the course of like a week and a half. Fun fact, this game has the in-game timer continue to tick up while the game's in sleep mode. So the game thought it took me 135 hours to beat it.
Wow, first time, huh?
All right.
Are you going
Bonus
100%
stage
for this, Ryan?
Yes, I am.
Ooh, nice.
As you mentioned, the game's a little too short if you just ignore everything.
Well, you do have to get some of the collectibles because you have to find the key in order to find Pac-Man's
The friends.
Yeah. Man, Pac-Man was way better
Yo.
before he had all these shitty friends.
Dude, these spike balls are fucking everywhere. Like, god damn.
I don't think anyone would ever say that about Pac-Man, Ted, because the games about Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man Jr. are just demonstrably better.
I've never played. I mean, you're definitely right about Miss Pac-Man being better than the original. I've never played Pac-Man Jr.
Pac-Man Jr. is fun. Like, I was actually going back to what I was saying about like growing up with this series. After like, despite spending so much time on Miss Pac-Man, I would only sort of somewhat follow Pac-Man up until like the late 90s. Even then, it wasn't like playing new games. It was just getting the chance to play games from past via like the Namco Museum, which I still fucking love to this day. You should get them without paying an arm, like hopefully. But you know, I played a lot of classic Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. I also played a lot of Pac-Mania. That was the isometric one where you could jump over ghosts.
Yeah. That's a good one.
But I was not aware that Pac-Man just kind of evolved into this other like a pure like gaming mascot that had like platformers and other means of like genres that I just did not follow. When a few years ago we did the Pac-Man Fever like Extra Life charity event, the 24-hour thing, I didn't realize there were all these damn Pac-Man games outside of the classic maze one at the 3D platformers. So I guess it just goes to show like when something like Mario or Sonic like already has you in their neon claws, there's no room for Pac-Man anymore.
Man, poor guy.